I didn't make this film, so I appreciate the applause, but I assume it's for the people back there. My name is Barry Jenkins. I'll be your moderator. Please welcome to the stage the writer-director, Hard Truths. You can its lead actress as the character Pansy, Marianne Jean-Baptiste. That's Moses. So before we begin, I want to go back roughly 30 years ago, a little more than 30 years ago, 1993, a play called It's a Great Shame.
Great Big Shame.
A Great Big Shame, which involved the three human beings sitting to my left, Mr. Leigh, Miss Jean-Baptiste, and Miss Austin. Tuwaine, I think you were a little too young to be in that play. but now you guys are reunited for this piece. I just want to hear what it's like to be back in the saddle together again, making this wonderful film.
Well, of course, I have to say that shortly after that,
yes,
we made Secrets and Lies.
Just a little movie festival.
Of course, these two were together, because of course Michele played Marianne's character Hortense's best friend. So this is our third collaboration. What's it like?
Yeah, what was it like? What's it been like?
What this is like? Great. Great. I mean, you know, it's a joy to work with these guys, and that's all I can say. I don't know what you think about it.
Well, it was great. I mean, you know, we had a lot of fun. We love each other in life, and to be able to spend an extended amount of time together, working in the way that Mike works, was just really rewarding and supportive, you know. Yeah.
Miss Austin?
I suppose it was also nice to know that you could still do the method, you could still do it, you still remembered how to do it, yeah, but it was wonderful, and we all have a wicked sense of humour, so there's a lot of laughter amongst all the kind of great work and hard work, so yeah, it was wonderful.
I mean, I suppose I should say, apart from anything else, that being 30 years older, these guys, they were young actors and actresses, and well, they are, they don't like me saying so, middle-aged. But they bring with all of that life experience. So it's richer and rounder and deeper. You know. Not, which isn't to say that the young actors who are involved, not least amongst whom is the little chap at the end there, are great to work with. It's a very enriching experience.
Tuwaine, was it a very enriching experience?
Yeah. It was great. I mean, to work with Mike and not truly understanding or actually being prepared for the way in which he works was a beautiful feeling. You know, to be in the unknown and to work with Michele and Marianne, I mean, yeah, I'm truly blessed.
I want to get to the process in a bit, but Mr. Leigh, can I call you Mike?
I think you should call me Mike.
I'm going to call him Mike. I wanted to ask in front of all you people, though. I didn't know you should call me Mike. I want to talk about, how did you come up with this scenario? This is all due respect, this is a black-ass film. What was the process of deciding that you were going to make this film, coming up with this scenario?
Well, I mean, I have to say about that is that I've made a lot of films about different sections of society. To me, it's too obvious to say. I mean, people are people. We are all people. You know, I've done a wide range of things, apart from looking at those remote people in the 19th century in several of my films. You know, it seemed time to do this. I mean, I've had black characters here and there in my films, not least amongst which was Secrets and Lies. For me, it's not a big deal, really. I mean, apart from anything else, I mean, it's not as though I've lived in a world completely insulated against black folk. My kids grew up in North London and there were black kids in and out of our house all the time. You know, I mean, it's not a big deal. But yes, it was a deliberate decision. And it started in the first place. Apart from the fact that I had a notion that that's something that I wanted to get around to do. But deciding to, I mean, Marianne lives in this city, so to bring her over, we've been talking for a while over the last few years about doing something. Once we decided that we were going to work with her and Michele, it seemed logical to say, well, actually, let's do that. But of course, there have been some negative voices that say, well, you know, how can a white guy do all that stuff? Which I totally reject. It's offensive, irrelevant, and that's all I have to say about it.
It is offensive and irrelevant. I will say, having watched the film, I assumed that there were little black kids going through your house as your kid coming up. It just felt that way. And also, too, there's a difference between looking and seeing. And I'll just say you are a person who sees people, who doesn't just look at them. And so I appreciate that. Let's talk process. I want all of you. I want all of you, and I know you guys have been doing a lot of these screenings and conversations, but what you guys do is so different than what anyone else does, myself included. I want you guys to explain just the process of making a Mike Leigh film in a way as if no one here has ever heard it. You can all speak your perspective on what that's like. I'll start with you, my friend.
Start with me. Well, the first thing to understand is that, yeah, we know, I don't start, there isn't a script. We make these films, this film being no exception, by embarking on a journey of discovery as to what the film is. We make the film up during the course of the whole procedure of doing it. You can understand it if you think about the way that painters paint pictures, novelists write novels, dramatists write plays, poets write poems, sculptors, potters, musicians, not least. That's what we do. I have ideas floating around, but I've got, for me, it's about really discovering what it is by embarking on it. So I sit down with each actor separately, individually, privately. And I would say to the actor, make a list of, as long as you like, of all kinds of real people that you've known. I don't say we're looking for this or that, I just have a list. And, I mean, how many were on your list for this?
130 something.
Yeah, that's it. We spend a lot of time, Marianne talks about this person, that person, and I gradually say, let's get rid of her, let's get rid of her. And what I'm doing is starting to think about the potential. And I'm doing that parallel with working, say, with Michele on other days. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, somebody the next morning. And then we whittle it down to a small number of source people, which we then, by means I won't describe here, put together and from that starts to evolve the embryo character. And to cut a long story short, it's a whole process of putting the characters together, building their mutual lives, relationships, backgrounds, going through their entire lives from their birth up to some time present. And also doing research, and of course one of the main things that happens on a massive scale is a huge amount of improvisation in character, which brings the whole world into existence. We do that for a sustained length of time. In the case of this film, we did this sort of thing for 14 weeks. 14 weeks. And
Not 14 weeks.
not 14 weeks, no, although we've made, I mean, on something like Secret and Lies and other films, we had 6 months. That's slightly to do with the scale of the cast and the size of the budget and things. At the end of which, we've got the premise of the film. I then write a sort of very simple potential scenario, and then, scene by scene, sequence by sequence, location by location, we build the scenes. But one of the myths about my films, and again I'm talking very much about this one, because everyone knows that somehow improvisation is involved, but what you are watching is actors improvising in front of the camera. You are not, because everything that we shoot, we have scripted through rehearsal. I never go away and write a script and bring it back. We start with improvising and then we say stop and let's break that down and let's build it up and we distill it into something very precise, which we then work out how to shoot and shoot. So we are making the film up as we go along, but obviously what I've got is a notion about possibilities, and a lot of it it comes out of the stuff that we've prepared. So that, for example, in this film, when the girls go to the cemetery, the stuff that comes out, the stuff that is about the relationship, and in the next scene, the relationship with Pearl, the mother, and all of that, and their respective feelings about it. That's all there because we've created that whole world, that background, that emotional experience in the comparative period. And more or less that sums it all up.
What is it like to be inside that?
Exciting, exhilarating, petrifying. There's nothing like it. I think it's one of the most rewarding experiences an actor can have. You get to use every ounce of talent that you're blessed with, your imagination. It's like playing, but I mean, like Mike mentioned Pearl. For Michele and myself, Pearl was real because we created her. We knew all her idiosyncrasies. We knew where she worked. And Mike would be the voice of Pearl sometimes because.
That's not to say I played Pearl. Long ago, I realised that actually playing a character would waste time because the actors found my acting so ludicrous. But seriously, I would take the responsibility, including the girls, but the characters. Pansy and Chantal were in the habit, as we established, of going around to see Pearl, who by this time wasn't well, to visit her in her house and just look after her, which Pansy did somewhat reluctantly, as you would imagine. And then one day I said, okay, well, what happens? And he said, well, park the car and go in. I said, Pearl's not in the kitchen where she usually is. So Marianne said, well, she'd go upstairs. She said, went upstairs. And then I said, and then she discovers Pearl is dead. So I killed Pearl. But that was a real emotional experience.
Oh, yeah.
It was a monitoring experience. So that then, that comes up in the cemetery scene. That's just an illustration.
So, Michele and Marianne, you guys have been through this before. It's your first time, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Like your first time doing many things in this film, correct?
Yeah.
By the way, we went to dinner before this. Tuwaine's just gonna sit there and not say anything. You guys are gonna be like, it's so epic. Like it's actually so damn eloquent. It's crazy.
He's actually garrulous.
What was your experience like going through this process for the first time?
It was so scary. I mean, I spent a lot of time because I know Mike wouldn't want me to ask Michele and Marianne about the process, right? So I would like take them to the side and be like, hey, how does he do this? How do I get him on my side? And I mean, without telling me much, they were just, the best help. And I just felt like the only way to do it was to not overthink. And I'm a huge overthinker. I think about everything, am I doing it right, or, and I think what helped was in those moments, being in a room with all three of them at times. I just got all the golden nuggets. So I was very happy with that.
It is about character acting. It's about these actors not playing themselves. And I described a few minutes ago how these characters are rooted in real people. So it's about reacting in character. So obviously what you actually did, Tuwaine, was to, once you got solid with the character does the work. This is not the territory of actors being asked to improvise and to be interesting and inventive and make things happen and all that. That's absolutely would be a natural. It's all about exploring it more truthfully, organically, in character, which means, apart from anything else, that you have long improvisations, all of which are always in real time. 60 minutes this, 60 minutes, etc. That can be, in conventional, dramatic, theatrical, cinematic terms, extremely boring. And I watch them, so I know. But something is growing, reality is coming into existence, so that when it comes to it, we can then distill that into the subject, the stuff you perform.
I just wanted to add something that's really important. Also, you only know what your character will know. So there's no sort of preempting, how to react to something, because you just don't know it. So you are in the moment in those improvisations.
Yeah, that's the deal when I ask an actor to take part. I will always say, I can't tell you anything about the character. There is no character. You and I are going to collaborate to make a character. I can't tell you about what it's about, because that will emerge. That's what we're going to create. And I also have to say that it's important. You will never know anything about the whole thing, or anything about anything that your character wouldn't know, which makes it possible to explore situations in a completely truthful and organic way.
I've got a question about that down the line. I want to get there. But just listening to you guys talk through the process, it's maybe 3 to 1 ratio of rehearsal to filming. It's a lot to carry. How did you get into the headspace of Pansy? Like, what was it to borrow down? Because it's a lot. I mean, I was worried about you. Like, it's a lot. I trust you, but I was worried about you.
Well, God, how does one put this? All the work that you do in that rehearsal period is like your programming. Do you know what I mean? So it's like everything has been built up. Every memory, every bad experience, good experience, it's all there. So when you get into those improvisations, you're just sort of fully armed with all that stuff. And we're very disciplined about coming out of character and getting into character. We always refer to the character in the third person. It is not method at all in any way. And you're protected. And the world that we've built you know, everything facilitates it being as real as possible. So we collaborate with production design. We have sessions with them where we discuss our character, and, you know, she'd have those colours, it would be that kind of carpet, it would be this, that, to the point where if you opened Pansy's fridge, there would be all the food that family would have for the week. The same thing happens with costume, the same thing happens with hair and makeup. It's fully collaborative to support the world that we've created.
Michele, I want to come to you as well, because you guys played sisters in It's a Great Big Shame. Then you played best friends in Secrets and Lies, and now once again you're playing these sisters. You have a relationship, the two of you, and you do all this programming, deprogramming, and you're in scenes, especially watching the film front to back, where I don't know what you think of Pansy, and it's really wonderful work. Talk about being in those scenes with your friend, and yet you're looking at this stranger in some ways, my read on the performance, who you know is somewhere inside. I don't know, just talk about working on this film.
Well, it's sort of adding on to from what Marianne said, really. In all the character work that we're doing, we are building up a relationship from literally from when Chantel is born. So you've got all of those memories, and we've talked through the holidays, the birthday parties, the going to school. We've done all of that. So in all of that work, there has been all of the reactions that maybe Chantel has had against all the things, and all the reactions that Pansy's had. So there is a kind of lifetime in the back of your actor's head about what is going on between those people. I mean, it is what's really helpful, again, and of course with actors, you know, you work with actors that you don't know very well, and you have to construct, you know, relationships that seem close and intimate. But what is helpful between me and Marianne is that we have been friends for 30 years. So the difficult stuff it's okay to deal with. It's not, it wasn't a problem. I mean, I have to be really honest. When I watch it, and I do watch it, and it's not really, and we talked about this, it doesn't feel like us. So when I watch it, I really struggle, because I think, oh my gosh, why isn't she doing this? And she really needs help. But you know, and all of those things, you know, I do have that kind of physical reaction as well. But you know, we're dealing with, you know, we're rooting these people in truth, and as we know, you know, it's in families, and it's very hard to help people. People have to help themselves, and you know, all of that. So I feel, in a really good way, I feel separated from it. But the first few watches was really hard. Really hard.
So now I want to get to this thing that I want to talk about. I saw you do a Q&A for this film, and you were talking through your process of making the film, talking about building the character, and you said something that just blew my mind. I want to talk to you about it, and I want to talk to you about it. So I'm watching the film, and I'm like, the apartment itself is so, just like, it's so black and white, it's so devoid of color. It's so sterile. And then there's the backyard. I'm like, why won't she go into the backyard? All these things. And then you said, as you were building the character, you said she doesn't like flowers. She hates flowers. And I remember watching the movie, and when Curtly comes into the kitchen after Moses has given her the bouquet, he takes the flowers and throws them out the back door. And it hurt me so much when I saw it. And then when I heard you say that in the Q&A, I was like, that was an act of love. And I just love Let me have my read. Let me have my read. Because you never have to see the flowers again. You never have to see them again.
You're a lovely man.
Well,
I like to, but I really love it.
You were just the worst. You were just such a magician. Like how, at what point in building the scenario and the character, she says that, and you're like, Moses is gonna give us, and then Kurt is gonna come in, he's gonna hoof.
What's the question?
I'm just bowing down. There is no question. There is no question.
There's no question, there's no answer. What are you asking? What would you like to
When
ask
you
me
saw
about?
the film, what did you think of that? I clearly had one read.
Well, I mean,
And I think the question I'm asking is, there's so many discoveries for you guys, I imagine, when you see this stuff back. You know, it's like you guys create a text together, but the text is not yours in a certain way. It belongs to the characters, I guess. It's such a strange way of working. It's beautiful.
But it's completely logical.
Completely.
Logical way of working, as far as I'm concerned. I am not disposed to talk about either what happens at the end, what happens afterwards, whether he gets it together with the young lady with the candy, whether and what her reaction will be to the flowers, or why he did the flower. Those are the things that are there to hand over to you, the audience, for you to ponder, to reflect on, as you are doing.
Be sweet people, it's an act of love.
I'm still protecting her, sorry.
You said it's a very logical way to make a film. You've evolved to making films this way. I want to step outside our truth just for a second. What was the thing that clicked when you realized this is the way I want to create with actors? This is the way I want to build
Well, apart
stories.
from anything else, very early on, I'm talking about back in the 60s, 1960s, I started to realise that I suppose if I'm honest, I suddenly, at a point in time, conceived the notion that writing, rehearsing could be combined. Actually, there were other things going on at that time, in the 60s, when I was at a very early stage. Things, happenings and improvisational things that were coming across from New York. You know, there were other stuff too, and stuff to some degree in the movies. So I had this kind of notion, and I had the opportunity to start experimenting. So it kind of grew, basically. And it seemed, I see actors as creative artists in their own right, in this context, to collaborate with, not just interpretation.
Yes, a round of applause. These guys have to catch a red-eye flight, so I'm gonna toss it. So I'm gonna toss it to you guys. Any last words to share with this room, just with this group? It feels like there's great energy in the room. So if there's anything you wanna say to these folks.
Well, it's been very nice talking.
Tuwaine Barrett, Michele Austin, Marianne Jean-Baptiste.
Doesn't